No sound, Chris. No sound. Hello, hello, and welcome to A Moment with Vivacious. I'm just so excited to have you here today. We have with us author CeeCee Moore, and we're talking about the subject we haven't been able to conquer. This is our third week talking about family toxicity. And I was to the belief that it can always be healed. But the author is here with us today, and she's going to talk about family toxicity and how to live with it. She's going to talk about her best-selling book, and we hope you go out and buy a copy of it. And it's time to tell my truth. So we'll be right back with author CeeCee Moore. Welcome to A Moment with Vivacious, a freedom ride where we the people gather to build ourselves, our family, our community, and our nation. For the sound of America for Progress has reached critical mass. Understanding that we must put aside our differences to focus on the greater good. This is a place of collaboration to rebuild and restore our nation. Welcome to A Moment with Vivacious. Hello, hello. And again, we welcome you. I hope you've called your friends. And look, if you haven't subscribed yet, press subscribe. And we're just waiting for the author to come on. Hi, Miss Moore. How are you today?
I'm good. How you doing?
I am doing wonderful. We have been having discussion as we have every Wednesday night, and we were talking about for the last 2 weeks. We were talking about vibration. We were talking about. I'm sorry, that message just came up and distracted me. We've been talking about family toxicity, and you have such a powerful healing piece of art that you've written. And could you just introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, ma'am. Hi, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to come on, giving me this opportunity. My name is Cora, but I go by CeeCee, author CeeCee Moore. And this is my book. It's time to tell my secret. These are my two beautiful daughters that's on my cover. Um, it's a very powerful book. Um, Definitely a must read.
So tell us, why did you write the book? Because when they understand, when you start talking about this book, they're going to be like me. Everything crosses their mind, including themselves and their life. And so what came, what the process, why did you write this book? Why was this the time? It's
Okay.
time to tell my secret. Okay.
Ooh, where can I begin? When I started writing this story, my story, I was an adult. I didn't know that I was going to write this book. I was thinking about the past of everything that happened to me, and it just played in my head over and over and over again. And when I tell you, I was just wounded, I was hurt. Everything in me, I just couldn't believe it, and so I just cried and I cried. And one moment I just sat behind my computer desk and I just started typing. But I didn't even know that I was typing about my life. And so it took me 10 years to write this story because I kept putting it down. I'll pick it back up, I'll put it down. Because in my mind, I didn't want the family or anyone to speak negative about what I'm trying to put out there. And I didn't want to hurt my mom as well. Even though my mom, when I said and told her, I didn't want her to feel no type of way. But I did go to my mom and I asked her, can I write my story? And she said, you tell your story, baby. She said, because they shouldn't have never or tried to do this to you. You tell your story and you're going to bless a lot of young girls and young boys. And so I began to write. And I'm going to keep on writing and keep on telling my story.
That's awesome. And we want to say hello to Carla Crump, who has joined us today.
Hi,
So
Carla.
tell us about the book. What motivated you to even want to tell your story? It's painful because when you tell your story, because a lot of us have stories that we don't want to tell because we're protecting the family or family image, or because my thing for the last 3 weeks, almost month, we've been talking. For me, it was for me in my story, like we can't expose the family in that way. So tell us what made you know you need to do it. What made you know you need to write it?
Well, one thing about what I said, that back in the day when things like that happen, they always have to push it up on the rug. Let's be quiet about it. There's no being quiet about it no more. Not with me. As long as I got breath in my body, I'm gonna talk about it. And I should have had said something about it a long time ago. But I want people to know. I want young ladies and young men to know that do not be afraid to tell. So I decided to write my story because I know that I can reach people. I can reach them to let them know it's not their fault. We always have the tendency to feel like it's our fault. We are the blame, but we are not. So I'm here to share my story. I'm here to tell my story.
So tell us your story.
Okay, I don't want to really just get into the whole book, but I definitely want to read a little bit on the back, and then I'm gonna start from the beginning on elementary, middle school, and so on, just to give you just a little sneak peek on what you're coming up across when you read it. Because when I wrote this book, I wrote from detail to detail, and when I tell you that many people have read my story, and they'll tell me they threw my book down, and I'm like, don't be throwing my $1 million book down. But I understand. I
So
understand
what would
because
yeah.
they was wounded. They went through the same thing and they couldn't read it because it was so much that was in there in this book. I go from detail to detail because I know exactly what happened to me, and I can remember when I was in elementary on a time on up, because God has given me that vision to remember. And so on the back of my story, it's me on here on the back of it, and it says it's time to tell my secret. It's the story of a young woman who has her innocence stolen in the most unimaginable way and has to learn how to put the pieces of her life back together again because of it. This coming of age drama touches on an issue that so many young women, and I didn't put young men's, but also young men's as well, are silent about it. Abuse at the hand of someone they love. So let me get my book. Hold on, just a second. I'm sorry. I apologize. Okay, I'm sorry. Everything started when I was in elementary, and of course, when you're young, a lot of people can't remember when they're young, but fortunately, I do. It started when I was elementary. My mom was a working mom. My dad was also a worker. working man, but my mom had like 2 or 3 jobs, trying to keep food in the house, clothing on her kids. My mom had 5 kids, and she just wanted to make sure that we have. And when my mom go to work in the early mornings, I noticed my dad came into my room, and he would pick me up out of my bed as a little girl and carry me in his room and take off my clothes and have sex with me. Have sex with me. And I'm not talking about just feeling on me. I'm talking about inserted in me. It was hurtful. I didn't know, I didn't understand why this was happening to me, but it did. And after he finished, he told me not to tell no one. So you have this big guy who's your dad telling you not to say nothing, but and you don't know what to say. You just crying. Right? When I ran into the bathroom and fell on the floor and holding between my legs, that's painful. I'm in elementary. I don't know what's going on. I don't. So the day go by, I go to school. I'm going to school, but I'm hurting. How can I tell my mom, the woman that I love, that birthed me, tell her that this man that she married are doing this to her daughter? So I hushed. I didn't say a word. And it just continually kept going. Seemed like a everyday, every other day thing that was going on. I was afraid sometimes to close my eyes because I knew if I closed my eyes, I see someone standing over me, and it was my dad. Coming back again, doing the same thing repeatedly on me. And so now I'm gonna talk about when I was in middle school. In middle school, they started talking about the sex education classes. But in my mind, I wasn't even focused on the sex education class because I'm focused on what's going on in my household about me. My dad coming in there still messing with me, doing the same thing over and over again, thinking it stopped, but it didn't stop. It got worse. It got worse to other family members is trying. Other family members is trying to break in the rooms to mess with me. I got to the point that I wanted to kill myself. I got to the point I wanted to take pills. Didn't nobody understand my pain but me. I prayed. I prayed. My granddad was a pastor. My auntie is a pastor. My uncle was a pastor. So we had to go to church. I knew God, but I didn't know of God like I know him now. But I continued to stay on my knees and pray and ask God why this is happening to me. And I cried many nights. I cried because I really wanted to tell my mom. But looking at her face every day, I couldn't. I just could not bear to do it. I did not want to hurt her. And so it was times that, like I said, my mom go to work. I go downstairs, finding my clothes, in the dryer, coming upstairs, and here I go, find my dad standing there naked. Go in the room. Go in the room. And at that time, I ended up telling a friend, and I told my sister, but I asked them please not to say nothing. I begged them not to say nothing. And so I literally ran to the phone and called my friend and told her come help me because he finna do it again. And so she had literally ran across the street and saved me that day. And when he went in the room and he had nothing happened. And my sister, they kept saying, you need to tell her. You need to tell her. I just didn't want to. I didn't. And so at that moment, my mom did. She come to us and asked me and my sister, were we having sex? And my answer was no, no. And my sister admitted that she were. So she said, I'm going to take you guys to go, get checked out and get on some birth control pills. So we went and got checked out. And I remember walking home with one of my friends. He was a friend of mine. And we were just sitting there talking and the phone rang. It was my mom. And she asked me where my sister was at. And I said, she in a room. She just went in a room. And she said, you tell her that we're going to pick her birth controls up. She said, but you pregnant. I was 15 years old. Yep, 15 years old. What I'm going to do with a baby? And she said, I thought you wasn't having sex. I said, oh. In my mind, I'm still saying no. And I just fell back to the wall and fell down and screamed. And my friend, I said, go home, just go home, go home. And so I called myself running away. I went in the room and packed some of my stuff and ran across the street. That's where I ran to. And I told my mom, I'm not coming home. And she said, why? I said, because you're going to hate me. You're going to hate me. She said, I don't hate you. She said, what you want to do? She said, I will help you take care of this baby. I don't want it. I had to lie to my mom to tell her that it was someone else's baby. Because I didn't really want to tell her the truth. So she said, I will take you to the hospital. She made an appointment. She made the appointment and they scheduled me an appointment to go get an abortion. I was a month pregnant. But before I went to go get the abortion, they inserted something in me to kill the baby. And I laid in the hospital bed and my mom was standing next to me. And she said, I'm going to be right here when you come out. Okay. And I can remember when they pulled me in the operating room, they told me to count backwards. And as I began to start off with 10 and count backwards, I was out. And when I woke up, my mom was standing next to me. It was over. I knew better because I knew that there was a sin of having an abortion. And I asked God to forgive me for that. But who want a baby by their dad? Mm-mm. So after that, I tried to be a teenager much as I could. But still in my mind, things were still playing in my mind. It was hard. And people that never went through it, never experienced it, they don't understand. Especially when you think it's your fault. That something, why did this happen to me? It made me so angry. I felt it unwanted. I felt it unclean. I never experienced being a virgin. Because my dad took something vulnerable from me. He took something away from me. He took my womanhood from me. So I never been a virgin. So one day, enough was enough. You know, when your daddy come in, when you're having your bed against the door and your door locked, still come in, trying to get three men to sleep with me. Tell them get her while she young. How can you feel love behind that? How can you feel love behind that?
Keep talking. I'm coming right back.
So my mom used to keep a TV in the kitchen, and while she's cooking, we'll watch Lifetime stories. And so one day we watched a story about a man doing the same thing to his daughter, and I began to start crying. I'm like, "That's wrong. He wrong. He wrong for doing that to his daughter." And my mom was like, "There are sick people in this world." Yes. And so at the end of the movie, they said if you knew somebody that is doing that, to call this 1-800 number. And so my sister and my friends like, tell her. And my mom like, tell me what? They said, tell her. Or we gonna tell her. And I'm like, no, no. And she said, tell me what? So I took my mom in the basement, and she said, what's wrong? I said, I know somebody who's doing the same thing that man did to his daughter. And she said, who? I said, you gonna hate me? She said, I'm not gonna hate you. And I said, Daddy. And the first thing that my mom did was grab me and hug me. And she cried with me. And she said, why I haven't told her sooner. Asked me how long it was going on. And I told her I didn't think that she was going to believe me, because I know family members told things in the family to their mom, and they never believed them. But my mama did. And I told her, please not to say anything. But she found her a way out of it, because my dad was very just a monster. So my mom, she did leave. And I was so glad that she left. I ended up leaving at the age of 17, living with one of my friends, and my dad still tried to come over. Um, I was messed up in the inside for a minute. I couldn't have kids. I told my mom, like, I can't have kids, and he messed me up. And she said, no, you can have kids. And I did, I prayed about it. And I was relieved because I told her. Um,
So let me ask you this: when your mom left, she left you there with your dad?
no, I left. We
Or
was
you
left.
left before your mom left?
Hmm. And my mom left. Yeah, she got out of it and never went back. Um, and so as I got grown, I had my kids of my own, and I told all my kids about what happened to me. My daughter, 34 years old, and still won't read my book. My daughter, 32 years old, would not read my story. I don't blame them, because it's gonna make them angry, because they know what happened. My twin boys is 28, never read my story, but I told them. And so I, I just feel like they needed to know. They needed to know. And so as I left, I'm from Flint, Michigan. I moved here in Georgia in 2013. I was married. I'm not married no more. I took that pain in my marriage. I used to drink and drink and drink until I couldn't even think about what happened to me. But when I got sober, the pain was still there. It was still there. I was broken. I didn't know what to do. I found a church, my church now, and they were saying if you need counseling, to sign up. And I did just that. My pastor, Debbie Armstrong, her sister is a counselor. They helped me. I cried. They taught me the real meaning of forgiveness. Why should I forgive? I didn't want to forgive them. Why? Because I'm this angry little young lady now. I'm angry now. I'm angry. Why should I be the one to forgive? I didn't do it. But they taught me the meaning of forgiveness is the forgiveness is not for that person. The forgiveness is for you. And I said, wow, wow, wow. And I'm like, okay, I forgive them. But was I really sincere about it? Just, I forgive. I forgive him. But I really don't think I really forgave him like that. Not until the day that my sister said that my dad had cancer. And she showed me a picture of him on the phone. And all I did was say, rest in peace. God has the final answer. Uh, and so he passed away within an hour. My mom asked me, was I gonna go and see my dad? I said, I'll go. I'll go. I'll go.
So he was still alive when you went to see him?
No, he passed away.
Okay.
He was going to the funeral. And so my mom was like, I know he never said he was sorry. Because at the time when I was getting counseling, my pastor was like, do you want me to go with you to face your dad? And he was living then. And I'm like, no. She said, well, if you don't want to face him, write him a letter. I said, okay. But I took that letter and I put it in my book. And it's a forgiveness letter at the end of my book. And I asked him, why? Why did you take something precious from me? Why? All I wanted was, I'm sorry. And I never got it. So I went to the funeral. I sat back and I just looked. They kept telling me go up there and see him. I'm like, no, I'm okay. I'm gonna stay back here. But some say go up there. So me and my sister went up there and I stood there and looked at him. I looked up at the sky. I did it 3 times. And I just looked at him and said, I love you. I forgive you. Now rest in peace. And I walked away. I didn't see nobody. I it's not intentionally. I just didn't see nobody. I just wanted to just to get away and just go back to my seat. But something shifted off of me. Something lifted off of me. And I knew that it was, I knew then I forgave him. I knew then that I really forgave him. And I walked out and I just cried. And so that's how that happened. I knew that forgiveness was not for that person, it was for me. But I still felt angry. I just didn't understand why it had to happen to me. God said, why not you? He built me up to be strong, to go out and tell my story, to help people that's like me, that went through the same thing that I went through, and that's going through. And even if they know anybody that went through it or going through what I went through, they can overcome it. I overcame it because I prayed and I stayed on my knees and I prayed. And that's how I got over. That's how I made it over. I had to rebuild my identity. I start giving myself permission not to carry guilt or shame that belongs to someone else. I understand that trauma can disconnect you from yourself. Long-term abuse, especially from a parent, often forces survivors to disconnect from their emotion, body, and sense of self in order to survive. That survivor response was smart. It helped you get through the worst. But now that you're seeking your identity, the work is about gentle reconnecting with those parts. So I had to ask myself, who am I without the pain? What brings me peace? What makes me feel like me, even for that moment? What did I love before the abuse overshadowed everything? I don't know. I was a child. I don't know what I loved before then. This happened to me half of my life. Especially you hearing your daddy telling other men to get you while you're young. I couldn't even have a boyfriend unless he's running them away from me. Identify Identity is built in layers that you can't explore. Your values. What do I enjoy? What kind of relationship is healthy? I want a healthy relationship. What belief and hope you want to hold? Being creative. I like to draw. I sing. I write music. And when I write music, it's the expression, the emotion that I put down on that paper of how I feel. And I write. Affirmation or a letter to myself. Speak to that child that's in you. Speak to that adult and a person that you're becoming. And once again, work on trauma informed therapist, counseling. Did that. It helps. Redefine power and control. Abuse robs you of control. And part of identity building is taking it back. Taking your identity back. We have to set boundaries. Have to start saying no without guilt. Making choices for your own joy, not survival. Honoring all your feelings, even the complicated ones. You may feel angry, sadness, confusion, or even grief for the version of yourself you never got to be. That's valid.
Yes.
That's valid. The grief, the grief is part of healing. You're not broken, you're becoming.
Wow.
And we just have to remember that you are more than what was done to you. Yes, your past shaped you, but it didn't define you. The fact that you're asking how to find your identity, it just tells me that we still here. And that's powerful. That's power. We still here. We still here. That means a lot. That means a lot. Finding your identity, especially after a trauma, can feel overwhelming, but it's a process of coming home to yourself. It's not about discovering who you are like some hidden secrets. It's about remembering, choosing the building who you are. Once again, you asking yourself, who am I? The outside of what been done to me. Your identity is not your trauma. Abuse may have impacted your self-worth, but it's not you. Start separating your identity from your past. Just think of the things of what brings you peace and joy. And when do you feel safe? If I had no fear or shame, what would I want to try or be? Your identity isn't just your past. It's also about what you stand for and what you care about. Now you have some common values that reflects on honesty, freedom, creativity, loyalty, growth, kindness, independent, spiritual, justice. So I ask myself, which of these resonate with me? Which one do I want to live by? Freedom.
We have some comments. Barbara Dozier says, praying for you, sweetheart. That was earlier. I was just too in my emotions. I'm sorry. I shouldn't go there, but I did. And Little Funny Kid said, love you, BFF. You are strong. And Carla Crump gave us the word of God, which is always healing. And the first scripture is Matthew 11:28-30. Says, come unto me, all that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me. And the second scripture she gave us was Revelations 12:11. Says, and overcame the abuse by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of the testimony. Your testimony is going to be a yoke, destroying power for others who've been there in the past. And Little Funny Kid said, love you, BFF, I'm watching. And I want to say this, and I want you to go back because you're giving us that healing part. It was like before I met you just 2 days ago, before I met you, I was like, no, you can always forgive family. Families have to come back together. But the abuse, that toxic criminal, You never think of that when you think of family members. You would never think of a family member being that cruel. Nevertheless, your dad, and I'm like your friend. What a hero that you can stand here, and there's a part of every one of us that was able to maintain to this point, is dealing with and is healing from. It's so much. I'm older than you, so it's so much when things like that happen to us. In my day, it was like, you cover that up. Just, you don't tell nobody. You cover that up. One
Mm-hmm.
young girl said when the minister got her at church, her mama just told her, "We're not gonna go back there no more. We don't need to say nothing." So I give your mom her trophy and her crown for loving her baby and for being there with you. That had to mean the whole world. But I don't want to keep talking because this is a healing moment. I just wanted to give our audience a little attention. And words cannot say thank you for being here. But I want you to finish this part. It's important.
Um, well, like I said, the freedom is what I chose because I just need my freedom. Free from my mind. Things just plays in your head. You get to thinking a lot, and you forgive, but you just can't forget. You just cannot. And it plays in my mind. It does. It does. But I just choose to want to just help other people that went through and experiencing because they don't know how. They don't know how. They don't know how. And I just want to be able to be that person that reaches out, you know, and let them know it's okay. It's not your fault. Don't blame yourself. But we have to learn how to just speak up and tell. But we just don't know how. Who we can trust. What they may say. Sweep it up under the rug. Really? Do you know what you're doing for that child? Do you know? That child is wounded and hurting inside because you don't trust them. You don't know. You thinking that child wants your man, or you don't believe them. So who can they tell? Who can they tell? And ex- experiment with self-expression. Sometimes you have to try things to know what feels like you. Your identity can show up. What you're wearing, what kind of music, how you speak, walk, or move, what makes you laugh or cry. A lot of times I laugh. A lot of times I laugh. But people don't even really understand that I hide and I laugh behind a fake smile because it was a mask covering my face, and it was a fake smile because inside of me I was wounded. I wanted to be happy. I wanted to have that love from someone, that real love, you know. But do they really love me? I can't tell. So I cried. I cried many nights, and I still cry. I'm a big crybaby, but I'm
No, you
healing.
got something to cry about. I never cried on air. I wait.
But I'm healing. I'm healing.
That's beautiful.
I'm healing. I'm
Hmm.
healing. I'm healing.
And Wakita Chandler says, healing is the children's portion. Barbara Dozier says, you are a global blessing. And Carla Crump says, amen. And I think of some people. I'm just talking, while you're coming together. When you're ready to talk, let me know. I think that you are at the extreme of what we think we go through. Like this became so real to me, and not even in this is like the extreme. We would this is like way over there, but that lets me know that most of my audience was right. Sometimes have to just get you have to get past some family members. Barbara Dozier says you're a global blessing. I don't know if I said that. And Carla Crump says amen. Right now we're going through we ain't doing that no more. We doing in the middle of that documentary. And hope you can come Saturday. And girl, we might have to find a way for you. Because we're not doing this no more. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that this is so part of our story as a woman. We ain't doing this no more. We're gonna tell it. We're gonna tell it from the beginning, and we're gonna heal
That's
each
right.
other. You have from
That's
all
right.
of your pain have such healing. My mind couldn't go through anybody else. My mind went through me. And my mind, like I'm going through my own experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God, and oh my God, and oh my God. To know that you're not responsible for that. And your thoughts should be, you're not what somebody else did to you.
Nope.
That's like a billboard. You are not what somebody else did to you.
Nope.
But yet we live under that pain. Girl, look, the world, Barbara's right. The globe needs to hear this.
Thank you.
I'm like just wordless, breathless. So much going on in my own heart that tonight I'm gonna spend the night with the Lord. You know what I'm saying? For myself to bring healing. With my daughter to bring healing. I guess every mom's wondering now, what did my daughter not tell me? I'm sorry, so go ahead. You
No,
look like you're ready again.
okay. Yes. Uh, uh,
So let's talk about this. To come to the point of healing, it was counseling. Keisha Jackson Rowley says, thank you for sharing your story and inspiring others to share and start the healing process. God bless you. Barbara Dozier says, we're not doing that anymore. We tell our story.
that's right. That's right. That's right.
And mm, girl, I've never been this emotional. So it's like I guess for both of us it's hard to think and just being a woman and going through the things um that we go through as women and but to come out counseling, that's where I was. So you reached out for counseling, and that's where you um began your healing. What are some of the things um that counseling comforted you with, and what were some of the things that was painful? Because I'm saying that because sometimes when people go for counseling, because that's my area of where I work, and it starts to get, you have to start dealing with the painful part of the surgery, the spirit surgery, I call it, surgery of your
Mm-hmm.
spirit. Sometimes that's when it's really hard. And a lot of people back off from that time, from that space, making excuses. So can we talk about that?
Oh, I've been obsessed. Oh, that was. Um, I was in my late 40s then. Let me see. I'm 53 now. Uh, just basically, when I went to counseling, um, Dr. Elaine basically just she heard my story and she was a listener. She was a listener, and like I said, I shared so many tears in that office, and she comforted me. She was just there, and just explaining to me basically about, like I said, forgiveness and the hurtness that I was going through. But it just made me feel good because I know that what she was saying, I didn't understand. I didn't understand. Like I said, the forgiveness part because I just didn't, and I had to just give myself permission to identify myself, and that's what she taught me, and the belief in without judging myself because I was doing a lot of that. Um, and she just held me and let me cry out, and I just made it through it. I made it through it, and I was set free. I was set free. They prayed over me and constantly prayed over me, and I just knew that I was being healed every time I went. It was getting my healing process was getting more advanced, and it was my first time counselors. Okay. But I thank God for them because they was there through the whole thing when I was wounded. Um, because I'm telling, it was hard. Because I told myself the next person that did mess with me, I'd probably be in prison. That's how much anger I had in me. So I thank God for that counseling. And I knew then after I had the counseling, the rest was on me. I knew God. I knew how to get down on my knees and pray. Had to fast. All of that. I didn't know nothing about it. I was raised in the Baptist church. I didn't know about fasting. I didn't know about speaking in tongues. I didn't know about God and Jehovah Rapha. He's my provider. I didn't know none of that. I did not. It taught me a lot to call upon his name because I know that he's my healer and he sustained me. He brought me over and I overcame it all.
Well, let me if I could say this, I want to talk about making you the most important thing. And that came to me bigger than ever when, and I'm gonna say because I know the Lord, I love the Lord, and I'm gonna say when the Holy Spirit had you walk up to the casket, and I understand forgiveness right this moment, sitting here in this chair on air before thousands of people. I understand forgiveness is for you more than anything. Because as you walk, you took that walk. That was a very hard, difficult, trying walk. As you took that walk to that casket, and when you said nobody else was around, but I know I have forgiven. That means you, to me, I don't know what that means. I'm not saying what that means. I'm saying to me, I felt like, okay, I'm free now. Nothing else matters. I'm free. because
That's
my
right.
heart holds nothing of what happened.
That's right.
And it's harder for people, and I want to talk about this a little bit. It's harder for people that's my age because we were made, in speaking of that generation, we were made to believe, to accept it.
Mm-hmm.
We were put in a place where what's wrong with you if you say something, or something's wrong with you if you would say that this happened to you, something was wrong with you, or they may have known the truth but still called you a liar. And I'm hoping that women of this generation and of this age can even sit through to this point. I remember I experienced something as a young woman, and I told two people. I told recently, very very recently, less than a year ago. I told a girl who called herself my daughter, and I mentioned it to somebody else. But the world can make you believe, and I thank God that your mama didn't bury you under that. You know what I'm saying? Your dad tried to bury you under it, but your mom, the queen that she is, like, thank God for her.
Yes.
You know, like, I'm so grateful. I've never met her.
Mm-hmm.
I met your sister, who's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful woman with plenty of character.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm gonna call you when I end this, okay?
Okay.
But I think I'm glad for that. And you know, like, and for me in my heart, the casket was a symbolization that death has to come to whatever attempts to destroy you.
Mm-hmm.
Death has to come to that.
Yes.
And when you're ready to approach it for you, you know that it's dead. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, this is there anything else you want to say to us? You know, we're approaching the end of time, and I would like for you to hold up your book again. And you have more than one book that's out there healing. You're gonna have to come back. This can't be it, okay?
Where my
You
other books is basically just well my second book God gave me to write is um yeah, and I have like action books as well. So, but this is pretty much the um my first one that I have healing, and it's time to tell my secret. If you like to purchase it, it's on Amazon. You have to put in "It's Time to Tell My Secret" by CeeCee Moore, CeeCee Moore. But go ahead and purchase it. It will definitely heal you. Like I said, I go from detail to detail. It's really really hard. It's really hard to read this story. I don't even really think I wrote it, but I don't even know if I even went back and even read it anything. But it's definitely the truth. And if you know anyone that is experiencing going through it, need healing, please share my story with them. Purchase the book for them so that they can see that they're not the only ones, and just let them know that it's not their fault. It's not their fault at all. And thank you again for this opportunity for coming on. I greatly appreciate it. Thank
girl,
you.
I think I went
Everyone
through
that's on live, everyone that's on here, I thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, this is one I have to send out to everybody who may have missed it. But I want to thank you. I want to thank you all the more. Um, I want to thank you. And I know some people. I know this young lady. I was speaking to her recently, and I want to say, like, different areas, because, like, what more can you experience than you experience? But some people have experienced some things that they can't get past. And I spoke to a young woman the other day, and she said she was telling me that she's in a relationship and she knows she's toxic. When everything is going good, she'll do something to make it go bad because she can't trust to be happy. She, like she's afraid to just sit back and enjoy this happy moment
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because so much has happened in her life.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you could say to her or anybody experiencing that right now?
That can happen. It's hard to trust when you went through stuff like that. But sometimes we just gotta get in a place, that secret place, and just cry out to God for that help. Because He is the only one that's going to be able to help her or anyone else that's going through that. Because we wants to be loved. We wants to be loved, but can we trust that? So she definitely had to get into a place. She just had to get in a place and just cry out to God and pray and ask God to show her. Because that's what I did. That's what I did at that moment.
Thank you so much again. And I think that this more than answered our question that we have been going through for 3 weeks. Because sometimes even I feel today, sometimes even toxic family members, you must separate yourself, get it as far away as you can. Before, I, that's just it. You got to remove it. You
Mhm.
can't let it continue to kill you,
That's right.
to destroy you.
Mhm.
And you gotta come to, it's for me. What do I need for me? Thank you so. That's what I got from the lesson tonight. Thank you so much,
You are so
Uncle
welcome.
CeeCee. And so, do you have a ministry? Anybody can get in contact with you, or we just buying your books? I encourage everybody to go out, and if it's on Amazon, when you pull up her name, CeeCee Moore, all of her
CeeCee.
books will come up.
Mhm.
Just purchase them, because if this is the beginning, I want the rest, right? If
That's right.
this is the root, I knew a grew from the rest. And I will be purchasing every book. Oh my
Thank you.
God.
Thank you. I
Thank
appreciate it.
thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Have a blessed one.